The docking bay of Orion Station 12 smelled of steel, fuel, and faint ion burns from ships that came and went in a constant rhythm. It was a place where dreams launched toward the stars and, often, where hearts were broken. Marcus Hale, a cargo runner with little more than his ship, a patched jacket, and a sense of restless wondering, had seen hundreds of goodbyes at this dock. Some were joyful reunions, others were tearful separations. But nothing had ever stopped him in his tracks like what he saw that night. She sat on a bench pushed into the shadows of the bay. Her skin shimmered faintly violet under the porch lights, patterned with bioluminescent streaks that pulsed like fading embers. Her robes, once fine, were torn at the hem. A small travel case sat at her feet, untouched, and her eyes, large, luminous, filled with oceans of sorrow, stared at the empty expanse where the last passenger ship had already departed. Marcus slowed his stride. The alien woman looked utterly abandoned. He had seen plenty of travelers, plenty of species, but she carried herself differently, regal, though crushed, like a queen left dethroned. "Are you waiting for someone?" Marcus asked, uncertain if she'd even respond. Her head lifted, and for a moment he glimpsed a flash of dignity. "I was waiting," she said softly, her voice carrying a musical undertone unlike any human tongue. "But they are gone." Marcus glanced toward the void where the liner had vanished. "They left you." She drew in a trembling breath. "They promised me a bond, a union. I was to meet him here, to leave with him, to begin anew. But," she lowered her gaze, "he saw me and said I was too old, too weathered by time. And so he boarded without me." Marcus frowned. She couldn't have been more than 30 in human years, though he knew alien lifespans varied. Yet in her people's culture, maybe age meant something different. Still, the cruelty was plain. To promise her a future and discard her at the moment of departure, that was worse than betrayal. Something tugged inside Marcus. Maybe it was pity, maybe indignation, or maybe something deeper that stirred when he looked at her luminous eyes. "Well," he said after a pause, "then he was an idiot." Her lips parted in faint surprise. "You don't even know me." "Don't need to. A man who leaves someone like you behind is a man who doesn't know value when it's sitting right in front of him." The alien woman blinked. For the first time, a small, tentative smile touched her lips. Middle, the unexpected proposal. Marcus didn't know what compelled him to say it next. Loneliness, instinct, or the sense that fate had just shoved him into something larger than himself. "Look," he said, rubbing the back of his neck awkwardly, "I'm no prince. I don't have riches or a palace ship, but I do have space on my vessel, and I'm not going anywhere particular. If you want, you can come with me." The woman tilted her head, her bioluminescent markings flaring slightly. "Why would you offer this to a stranger?" Marcus shrugged. "Because no one deserved to be left behind. And maybe because I don't feel like you're a stranger." Silence stretched between them. He thought she might laugh or dismiss him as another foolish human. Instead, she rose gracefully to her feet. Up close, she was taller than him, her presence commanding yet fragile all at once. "In my culture," she said, "when one offers companionship at a moment of abandonment, it is not taken lightly. Among the Illyri, such a gesture can mean marriage." Marcus froze. "Marriage? I wasn't." He stopped, searching her face. There was no mockery there, only solemn truth. And then he surprised himself. "All right, then," he said quietly. "If that's what it means, then yes. Marriage." The woman inhaled sharply, her markings pulsing bright. "You would bind yourself to me so quickly, without knowing who I am." "Maybe that's a point," Marcus replied. "Sometimes you don't need 1,000 reasons. Sometimes you just know." Her gaze softened. "My name is Lyri. I am of the House Sylvan, once destined for a union that would secure alliances. That future is gone. But if you are sincere, Marcus Hale, then perhaps a new one awaits." And so, in the middle of a bustling dock where no one paid him attention, a human stranger and a forsaken alien clasped hands in a bond neither had expected when the day began. The journey together. Life aboard Marcus's ship, the Wanderer's Echo, was modest. It rattled when entering atmosphere, and sometimes a water recycler hissed like a grumpy cat. But Marcus gave Lyrie the cabin with a view of the stars, and in return, she brought a quiet grace to the vessel. She learned to repair conduits with deft hands. She sang in the evenings, her voice filling the small ship with haunting melodies. Marcus found himself listening, heart-thrumming, as though her songs carried healing for wounds he hadn't realized he bore. And slowly, their bond deepened. Marcus confessed one night over rationed whiskey, "I've always been drifting, running cargo, never settling. Figured I didn't belong anywhere." Lyrie touched his hand gently. "Perhaps you were waiting, as was I, waiting for the one who would see me, not as too old or discarded, but as worthy still." Her words struck him like a quiet thunderclap. He realized he hadn't just rescued her from abandonment. She had rescued him from aimless solitude, conflict, the pursuit. But the universe rarely allowed happiness without a price. Weeks into their travels, a transmission arrived. The man who had abandoned Lyrie, an Elari noble named Vorash, was hunting her, not out of remorse, but out of pride. To be publicly rejected had tarnished his reputation. He demanded her return, declaring Marcus a thief of his property. Property? Marcus growled, slamming his fist against the console. "You're not his anything." Lyrie stood tall, her markings burning bright with defiance. "He will not have me. Not now, not ever." But Vorash had resources, ships, mercenaries, the weight of his house. Marcus's patch freighter couldn't outrun them forever. In a desperate gamble, Marcus and Lyrie fled into the Nebula of Taze, a region of turbulent gases and electromagnetic storms where few ships dared venture. Inside, the Wanderer's echo was tossed like a leaf in a hurricane, but Marcus held the control steady, while Lyrie guided him with knowledge of stellar currents known only to the Elari. Together, they outmaneuvered Vorash's fleet. In the nebula's heart, lightning split the darkness, and for a moment, Marcus saw Lyrie's face illuminated, fierce, radiant, utterly unbroken. They emerged battered, but free, ending a new union. Weeks later, on a quiet moon with silver sands, Marcus and Lyrie stood beneath twin suns. No priests, no nobles, no pomp. Just two souls, scarred yet unafraid, declaring vows in whispers meant only for each other. "I was forsaken," Lyrie said, "but you found me." Where he saw only what I had lost, you saw what I still am. I vow to walk beside you, Marcus hail, until the stars grow cold. Marcus took her hands, his voice steady. "I don't know the future, but I know I don't want it without you. You're not a burden, not abandoned. You're my choice. Always." They sealed their vows with a kiss, the suns blazing above, the sea whispering below. And though the galaxy still spun with wars and politics, Marcus and Lyrie had carved out their own corner of eternity, proof that love could rise even from the ruins of rejection.